try something new. I'm going to do what I'm going to call the passenger seat interviews. I'm going to start a new series on it, and probably won't be a weekly thing. Just as it happens, we'll put them out there, and I think it'll be fun. We'll run them through our guests through some questions and go from there. See how it all plays out. So, my first guest, my friend Tony. We were neighbors for a long time before we moved to this home, and Tony recently, or I don't know how recently, we'll find out. Tony got into Jeeping, and we'll get him in here and start right off with some 10 questions. All right, Tony, welcome to the passenger seat.
Thanks.
I'm glad you can fit in here. These weren't exactly built for a 6'3".
Yeah, it'd be uncomfortable on a long trip, but
right?
fun to ride.
Funny thing is, growing up, I always wished I was 6 foot. You know, always being the shorter end of it. I think I peaked at about 5'9" with my shoes on. And stuff like this is where I really appreciate not being the 6 footer. I fit in here a lot better than you and the big guys.
I'll bet. Yeah, this is. I mean, think about being in one of these with all your gear on.
Right? Yeah. True.
It'd really be tight.
So, like I say, welcome to the passenger seat, and
thanks.
We're gonna run you through 10 questions and let the chats go from there.
All right.
So let's see what we got first here. I should have brought my glasses. Your current Jeep, let's start right off with that.
It's a 2008 Jeep JK Sahara, and it was basic, pretty much. There's nothing on it. There was no decals or anything on it. I put decals, I put Terraflex ball joints on it myself, changed out the wheel bearings. Let's see, what else did I put on it? Other just small stuff. I've changed out the clock spring. Changed the radiator.
Stock though?
Yeah, it was all stock. Yep.
Nice. That's how we started out too.
Yep. It was 2008. I bought it in 2018. So it's 3.5 years old to me.
Yeah.
And I love it. I should have done it a long time ago. I've looked at Jeeps since I was 18. I mean, before that even was, wanted one, but I don't know. Thought I could never afford one. Didn't want to try to afford one, I guess. But I love it. I can't imagine driving without not being a Jeep.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
It is awesome.
I love Jeep culture.
Go wherever I want to go. Oil been stuck once with the tires that came on it. They were kind of bald. I went out, got slipped down into a mud hole, got stuck on a route. Called somebody, they came and got us. We weren't there very long, but it was just kind of embarrassing. Got new tires, got KO2 tires, and I want to stick with those. Change out, I don't know, what other things I want to do in the future. But
right. We've all been there, I think. They always say, don't wheel alone. Who hasn't? You got to sometimes. You just want to get out. Friends ain't available, and nevertheless, or I should say, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but you go out on your own enough, you're going to get stuck and in that jam when you're out there all by yourself trying to figure out how the heck you're going to get out of it.
Well, it's funny because it's not like I hadn't been there before. It was the roads up behind Bill's Lake up there in Newaygo, and I'd been back there looking at the fire damage when the fire happened and everything, and we were with another couple, said, hey, let's go out here, we'll just run around here, we'll go have dinner. And we got out there, and like I said, there was a big mud hole. I didn't want to get stuck in the mud. I went off to the side. I slid on the side of the hill, and there was a root there that I didn't see, and it got hung up on there, and I didn't have any recovery equipment. Yeah. So luckily my daughter-in-law's family is near there. They came over and pulled us out, and
the other thing that you find out, and most Jeeps come with them stock now, but with any vehicle, and I started out off-roading before I got into Jeeps, and you'll see I'm not a hater. I don't care what you're driving. If you're out there having fun with us, it's all good. We're going to be talking Jeeps because that's what we both own. But back to my point is, you will get stuck at some point when you go out wheeling by yourself enough, and tow points.
Yep.
You discover what you may have overlooked is, what do I have for tow points? Jeeps come with the hooks on the front, and if you buy a used one, you don't know what people have done to them, so you might get out there and realize you don't have a tow point on the back, right. And that's where you might have to get pulled some. So that's something people need to stress and do. I've seen on channels is make sure you have tow points, because you might have some recovery gear, but it ain't gonna be no good if you can't hook on to anything.
Yeah. Well, fortunately we used the front, and So it was. I mean, it's a learning experience. Nobody
Right.
got hurt. Everything was fine. Nothing. No damage done. Just my pride.
Yeah,
That was
and
it.
and me and Lisa, we used to backpack a lot. And what a saying I've started, or something I've said since back then, and carries over to jeeping or anything is, if it's a walk in the park, you might as well go walk in the park. It's
Right.
these kind of obstacles, and whether it's a rainstorm or getting stuck in a mud puddle or a breakdown, field maintenance, those kind of things will create the memories.
Yep.
You know, you might remember the perfect weekend you went camping or wheeling and had a great time, but you're going to remember even more the ones where something came up that you had to overcome and get through
The
it.
unexpected.
Yeah.
And, yep.
That's
and,
what make the memories.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. But yeah, mostly it's the good.
Sick. Question number 2.
All right.
How long have you been into jeeping?
Well, just since I bought the Jeep, I don't know. I had a Trailblazer before that, but I would go off-roading in that. But
That's
it
what
wasn't much of anything. But I mean, I wouldn't call
Yeah.
it jeeping, but
I should change that to
I
off-roading.
guess, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I always well that was the first 4-wheel drive vehicle I had, but I was really careful with that because I just wasn't sure. It was
Daily
kind of like
driver.
so is my Jeep. It's my daily driver. So everything I do, I'd always try to make sure that whenever I get done with it, it's back on the road the next day or at least the day after
Yeah.
that. You know, it's really
That-
so.
When you're off-road as your daily driver, that really sets the limitations. I keep seeing that sticker online that says that people have on their dash. Remember, you have to drive this to work Monday.
I have that sticker. I just haven't put it on the dashboard yet.
That's fact. When it's your daily driver, you're a lot more cautious wheeling it, and the wife is like, "Hey, maybe you should go around that one."
That was one of the first decals I ran across. I bought it. I just haven't put it on the dashboard.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I got to change that to off-roading because I'm gonna have some people on here that are Subi drivers and whatever. But so how did you get into jeeping then? That could go either off-roading, jeeping.
I always wanted a Jeep. I mean, I can remember after graduating from high school, one day class was out early and stopping by the Birmingham Jeep dealership and looking at the Jeeps and thinking I couldn't afford them, back then.
Right.
So it's always been a dream to have one. Didn't do a whole lot of 4-wheel driving before, the Trailblazer, and so what was the question again?
How'd you get into jeeping?
How did I get into
Jeeping
I don't know.
off-roading.
And then I saw somebody buy one, and I thought, I just got to do this. I'm not getting any younger. I don't feel like I'm old, but I'm not getting any younger, and I want to enjoy it while I can still do things on my own and
Right.
go out there and not worry about hurting myself, within reason. But so I love being out in the outer doors. I camped all the time when I was in high school and growing up. Family camping, Boy Scouts, Explorers. I'm an Eagle Scout, and so I enjoy the outdoors immensely. I don't spend enough time out there. I work way too many hours right now. So I'm going to change that this year.
Hopefully your boss don't see this video.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the next question.
Okay.
Your favorite style of jeeping? Sand, rocks, mud, snow, trails?
I don't know if I have a favorite type of jeeping yet. I've only gone on what we experienced up in the Pigeon River. That was muddy and wasn't really a whole
That's
lot
mostly
of rocks.
trails.
Mostly trails, yeah. And,
Rocks I would consider like going to, like, say, Rocks and Valleys or one of the off-road
Yeah, I haven't
parks.
been to
with
any of those
literally rock crawling. I
haven't been to any of those yet.
That's a good way to break your Jeep, but it's fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Always a consideration, but so I haven't done any of that yet.
Have you done snow wheeling?
No.
Snow wheeling's a blast.
Well, I just took mine out to the there's 2 roads out here in the state game area. They go down to those lakes.
Yep.
The one's really steep, and I've been up and down that thing in the winter. But and it's steep and it's a little treacherous. I mean, they don't really maintain it. It just the water when the rain is really heavy, it washes everything down, and it's got a bunch of gullies and stuff in it. But
some off camber, and I when I was stationed in the military out in Montana, it was the first time I experienced real snow wheeling, and we'd go up in the logging roads in the mountains, and there'd be 4 or 5 vehicles and deep snow and up in the mountain roads, and that was a blast. And one thing I really like about snow wheeling. One is it's pretty. I hate being cold, but it's beautiful.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when you get stuck, you're not trying to get your vehicle up out of the suction of a mud hole. You're digging the snow out of the way till you get down to get
Right.
traction.
Yeah.
So it's way easier, I think, to get out of it. It's some digging snow, but getting your vehicle down is easier than getting your vehicle up, especially with the suction of mud holes. And the cleanup, up there I had heated garage. So the cleanup was park it in there at the end of the day,
Gotcha.
get up in the morning, everything melted off it, and it's good. Because I hate getting up and spraying all the mud underneath. And I don't mind hitting mud holes along the trail.
Uh-huh.
I don't go out to find the mud and spend the day in it. I
Right.
don't like going mud.
It's whatever you come across. You're not
if
going
we
to
come
go
across it and get through it,
like
it's fun. But yeah, the cleanup on true mudding is just
people that are riding through the big mud bogs and stuff
Right,
like that.
yeah, you won't see
I'll
me out
watch
there,
it. I'm
so
not going to
fun to watch,
participate in
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
I forgot about it. I had a Suburban for a couple of years. It was 4-wheel drive.
Oh yeah, it's green, right?
Yeah, it
That
was
big
green.
one?
Yep.
Yeah.
We took it out to the game area on the roads, and we were pushing snow with the front bumper. It was that deep,
Yeah.
and that thing was a beast. That was awesome. But I had to let that thing go. It was too expensive to repair. I didn't have enough experience then, but now thanks to YouTube, I watch everything on
YouTube
YouTube.
and
I
Google.
watch 3, 4, 5, 6 different videos. I watch them over and over and over again until I feel confident enough that I can do it. Make sure I got the right tools, and then I just take my time. It's like the radiator. The radiator took me like 2.5 hours, but I had my daughter come out and help me put it in. But things back in there just like it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you've ever done a Jeep radiator, the transmission lines, getting those things back in those little clips, that's challenging. A lot of people give up, but I got them in there.
Cool.
And it sounds very, to put it in there. It's a small thing.
satisfying. Whether it's, the smallest thing or a big job, it's satisfying doing it yourself. And fortunately, my wife understands the value of a tool versus the cost of a mechanic.
Exactly.
So if I need a specific tool for a job I'm doing, I don't get that heartache. It's no issue going out and buying tools that I need to get the job done, because she would rather. She's literally, when we lived next to you, had the laptop on the fender when we had that little yellow Ford Ranger.
Uh-huh.
She had the laptop on the fender telling me, watching a video, telling me literally bolt by bolt to get a job done that I was a little unsure of. She's like, no, we can do this. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
And with YouTube and Google, we got her done, and it's satisfying. Like I said, doing the job yourself, and when you get it done, I tell her working on the Jeeps or our vehicles, it's like bowling or golf. It can be really frustrating, but at the end of the day, overall, you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, when you get it all done, it feels like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, let's move on. Next question. Let's see. Favorite style? Your dream Jeep. Well, if you
Dream Jeep?
hit the lottery and could buy or build whatever Jeep you wanted, what would it be?
Well, I don't know if I've decided on everything that I want out of a Jeep yet, but I'd probably buy a newer one and then start outfitting it with new bumper winch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A rack. I want a soft top. Someday I'll have a soft top. I don't have one of those yet, but it's kind of hard to take it off, put it back on. But
we went with safari top, just the cloth, I think that's what it's called. It's the full length, but it's only the top. It ain't, it's kind of like a bikini top, but the longer version that covers both back seats or both seats and cargo area or whatever. But I like that because it keeps the sun directly off you, but everything else is open air.
Yep.
It's cool to take everything off and drive. That's the best thing about Jeeps, right?
Yep.
Driving in the open air.
Oh, and adding stuff onto it. Eventually I'll put a 3-inch lift on this, or maybe 4-inch, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't given that much thought to what my dream Jeep is yet.
35 years.
I haven't won the lottery yet, so when I get there, then I'll start working on that, I guess.
I think my dream Jeep is basically what we're sitting in. I can remember being 12, 13 years old and looking in the back of comic books where there's always that ad for $50 you can buy surplus military Jeeps or whatever.
Oh,
They were flat fenders. Yep. Always wanted a flat fender. So I was 46 years old, I think, when I bought this one. Drove it that fall into the winter. Had a bad rod bearing, pulled the motor, took it down to Grand Rapids. There's a place down on Division that specializes in old motors. Somebody told me about them. Took my motor down there, had it rebuilt, and it's still sitting in the engine stand. So things, like I said, things get in the way, priorities, But the old flat fenders is probably my dream Jeep. Now that I have one, I want to get it running and use it. But now I would have to say, it's hard to say it's your dream Jeep when it's what you have.
Right.
So I think another one that I've always loved and would love to have, and not super modified, if I could win the lottery, go down to Arizona or somewhere where there's still find that stock one,
Yeah.
a Jeep Scrambler.
Oh,
I love
okay.
the Scramblers.
Yeah, those
just
are
the
neat.
short
Yeah.
cab of the truck bed.
Yep.
I just always have loved them. Unfortunately, they built them what I feel is too short of a time, and there ain't a lot of them left.
Yeah.
Now, if you find a decent one, they're like 20, 30 grand for one that people
Wow.
have redone and that are really nice. They're rare enough that they're pretty expensive to find now. A decent
Yeah, I
one.
remember those.
So.
Yeah.
But I always thought those were cool. Quick story about that. I was in the military, stationed in Montana, and we had for a short time we still had a Scrambler in our squadron. And I was driving on base, doing like 25 miles an hour, pulling up to a stop sign, and it had the hard cab that's only this big,
Yeah.
and the fire extinguisher, the pin had fallen out or something. Pulled up to the stop sign on base, and it rolled and it hit the handle. Didn't keep going, but just one burst. But in that little cab, I pulled up to the stop sign. There's a white cloud, man. I freaking hit the brake, and I think that one might have been automatic. Through it, it's been a while. I forget. Make sure it stopped anyway. And I jumped out, and I'm laughing, coughing up fire extinguisher
Chemicals, yeah.
dust. Right?
Oh my god.
It was so funny, man. But my cat got out. I had the cat locked away so he wouldn't bother us. Leo's gonna be coming into the picture now. But yeah, so those Scramblers those are pretty cool. So what's your least favorite Jeep? Are there any Jeeps out there you just don't like?
Least favorite Jeep.
I don't
No,
know.
I don't know if there's a least favorite Jeep. I don't know. I don't know that I'd buy one of those the new Jeep pickup. I don't know why
Oh, the Gladiators?
the Gladiator. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard too many good things about Gladiators. I see them
Really?
around and stuff, but it kind of. I saw one up north.
Do you want him out of here?
No, he's fine. But he's
So, but yeah, the Gladiators. I like the look of them, but
yeah.
I don't.
I mean, it's a good concept, I think, but for as much experience as I have and that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's sharp looking, but again, the one I saw that it was up north was really nice. I mean, it was got a winch on the front, lifted up, pulling an Overland trailer, and it was a retired couple, and they had kayaks on top of the trailer, and I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
A sweet setup. But in fact, I was almost turned around and go take a picture of it because I thought, oh man, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. I just kept going. I had my granddaughter with me.
I
We
like
were up there
them.
camping.
I like them. I don't know. I haven't owned one, so I don't know the problems. I know
Yeah.
that a guy that I know that I follow his channel a bit, a local guy that has a diesel. I know he had some early on trouble with it, but I got another friend who has the gas version. I think his is gas, and I think he really likes his. But so I don't know. Like anything, could be
Yeah, I
hit or
mean, not
miss,
be fair to
for
say. I
sure.
mean, I don't know anybody
I don't
with
know.
one. I've just read a few things online, and I mean, like I said, I like the looks of them, but I just don't know how they perform. And what my daughter always says, she works at car dealership, and she says, you don't want the first 2 years. You don't want the first 2 years.
Let him work the bugs out first.
What do I got? 2008, right?
Right? First year of JK. Yeah. I
that's
like
okay.
the Gladiators, but I always tell Lisa, I like them. I think they're really cool. But I would not replace the JK with a Gladiator. I've had sport utility vehicles pretty much ever since I got into, I've owned trucks too. But ever since I got into off-roading, I've always had sport utility because I like to put my gear inside. And I know you can put a cap on them and all that, but I told her if we ever got a Gladiator, it would be to replace her truck, not replace the JK, because I just like putting gear inside. And
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Best Jeep experience so far?
Well, I had to be the Wolverine trip. That was awesome. I mean, it was a weekend trip. It wasn't, fancy by any means, but got to go
blast.
spend some time with good people. I met a lot of people. I knew you and Lisa, but everybody else. I mean, we had a great time, and we stayed warm. Other than the rainstorm, when we sat in the
Yeah.
Jeep for like half an hour, 45 minutes, waiting to make sure we
Letting
were going
that
to get
pass.
blown away, right?
Right?
But, yeah, it was a great time. I mean, we didn't see any elk. They didn't show up. We could hear them, but we
Yeah,
didn't
they
see
came
them.
out after dark, I think.
Yep.
We didn't get to
So-
see them that time.
And it was amazing how much we could see, even with, I think it was the moonlight, right?
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
could see that they weren't there,
Right.
even after dark.
It's a clear night, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little cold, but yeah, it was great.
That's a
It
good
was
time.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Look back through the videos if you haven't seen it. That one we did a video that weekend. You see Tony under the back of his Jeep.
Yep, and it turned out it was the emergency brake had rusted together in a ring and it broken loose, and it was rattling like crazy. We couldn't figure out what the rattle was, but that's what it turned out to be, and ended up taking it out and just getting it out.
That is always a fun trip.
Yep.
We do two. We do the pre-run. It's like always 2 weeks before, and the pre-run typically is just the guys. We go up and we camp in a couple different spots, kind of an overlanding, but exploring trails and looking for the elk. And then 2 weeks later, we do the annual elk run, and that's families, wives, kids, everybody. And we stay at one campground all weekend and venture out from there. And it's always anybody who camps with people, you know, sitting around the campfire with a group of good people and just talking, sharing stories, and having good food and whatever. Having a drink that night.
Those cherries that
passing around cherries that are soaking in a.
So was it Southern Comfort, or was it?
I don't know.
Was it
some moonshine or something?
I
don't even
whatever
know.
it was. It was fantastic.
You don't have to drink. You just eat those cherries.
Yeah,
that was a good night.
the juice was good too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's always a good time. So that was fun.
Yep.
Worst Jeep experience.
Worst Jeep experience. Well, just being stuck. I mean, other than that, I don't really have a bad Jeep experience. You know, I'm frustrated by fixing some of the things on the Jeep, but I mean, that's auto parts and things on there.
Right.
I don't really know if I really have. I just love that Jeep out there. I just, you know, I should have done it a long time ago. I can work on everything just about myself. The only thing I couldn't do was when I had to replace the clock spring was take the airbag off because of the access holes. I just wasn't sure how it was.
In your face?
The mechanic at work came out. He says, "You know, let me take that off for you." And like,
sure.
A couple minutes later, he had that thing off, and then I went on and fixed everything else. But yeah, it was. So as far as a negative experience, yeah, I mean, I haven't had a cost of things. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
You shop around enough the mods that you want to do. I mean, you can find something in your price range. Grab handles, you know, you don't have to buy the expensive ones. I found them for like I think $30.
We did
on myself.
Me and Lisa did the bracket, and we made some of our own.
I've made some of those for the seats and stuff.
Yeah.
What is it? Paracord. Yeah. I made some paracords for the back of the seats and things like that.
That was fun because you know, it's not hard to do, but the hardest part was figuring out the lengths of the, you know, because we made some, and I don't remember if they were like too long and just kind of goofy or too short. I know we didn't get it took a couple of tries to get the length right.
Yeah,
then once we got it, we made them. I can't remember if we made two. I don't have all four because by the time we were getting it right, the lengths is, I don't know, it's like into the evening or whatever reason we never finished the last one. So we've got grab handles. I think the two back seats only, maybe. The front seats have stuff to grab anyways, but But those were fun to make, and we'd used black and yellow paracord, so it's a nice design that matched that Jeep, but that was kind of fun to do.
Yep, I just made black ones and I put them on the back seats on the headrests.
Yeah.
And,
I
I got the grab handles, bolted them in myself, and I like it because there's not anything I haven't been comfortable doing.
Yeah.
The Terraflex ball joints, getting the old ones out was a little tricky, but like I said, I just took my time and I just did it. I just did it on a weekend, and I mean, everybody going back and forth in the subdivision was like, "Yeah, he's working on his Jeep again, probably." And I have it tore out apart for the afternoon, and then I put it back together, and there it is, driving away.
Right? It is fun. I like the do-it-yourself stuff because there's everything out there. Anything you want for a Jeep, it's out there. It's just a matter of how expensive some of it is, and a lot of us are blue collar, and we have our budgets, and we've gotten into the overlanding thing, and there's a misconception, I feel, not that it ain't out there, but I see some of the rock crawlers or people bashing on overlanders like we all drive, $100,000 rigs and we got all this stuff, and there's the reality. The people I know that are into overlanding are so much like us that we're everyday people. We can't afford $100,000 rigs. We have our Jeeps, but then we do a lot of the budget end of do it yourself or just not buying all top end name brand stuff because that stuff's expensive, and
Yep.
And you got to budget for what you want, and do without some, and do a lot of do-it-yourself is fun, and having that stuff, and there's just ways around it. There's
Well,
something out there for everybody, and
the research I did, I looked at Jeeps I was, you got yours, and I was, excited about that. I thought, this is, not that, trying to be the same as you, but I mean, it was an interest of mine too, right?
Yeah.
And I thought,
Oh, yeah.
when you got yours, I said, you know what, if you can get one, I can figure this out somehow,
Right.
right? And it took me a couple, 3 years, and I paid less than $18,000 for that.
Yeah.
And I found it. Perrin doesn't carry many Jeeps anymore.
They
but
used to.
they
We
used
were
to have
noticing that, too.
all
They
kinds
used
of
to have
Jeep,
a
and that's
lot.
where I ended up finding it. I looked all over the place, and a lot of different Jeeps, and found that one. My son and I went out on a Saturday morning and hadn't planned to get it that day, but found that one and were impressed by it, and all the specs and everything came back okay, and so I made a deal right then, and I had it a couple days later, and haven't looked back. I'm glad I got into it. You got to do something, you got to have a hobby.
I might get you in trouble for this, but I remember you telling me something about you saw it, 2 days later you had it. How much longer was it before your wife knew you bought it?
Well, okay, so
Most guys just order parts without their wife knowing, or maybe a tool here and there.
So
Buys a
I
Jeep
think she
without his
probably
wife
knew.
knowing.
I think she probably knew that I was looking at them, so it was. In fact, it was icy. We drove all the way down to Middleville for the first one that day, and then we're hitting Perrin on the way back. I got it Monday morning, I think it was. Was it Tuesday? But anyway, it was Monday or Tuesday morning, and it was in October, so the days were getting longer and and I don't get home till after dark. So I drove it home that night, and I think it was 2 days before she realized there was a different vehicle in the driveway. And she said, "There's a Jeep in the driveway." And my daughter said, "Yeah, it's been there for a couple days." So, yeah, I didn't tell her I was getting it, and then she thought I was just driving a demo, or just had it for a day or two just to test drive it.
And how long do you say you've had that Jeep now?
3.5 years. I think it was October 17th I bought it.
Has she forgiven you yet?
Yeah.
She didn't forget that.
What was even funnier was that my son drove it. Both my sons and my daughters drove it before she drove it. It was a couple of years before she drove it, and then something happened to it the day she drove it. So it's all right. It's all repairable. It was not a bad. It's just a fluke thing. It was rock from a.
Hi, Kelly.
Rock from a snowplow.
Oh, wow.
Hit the windshield, but I mean, the insurance wasn't. Surprised, because the windshields are always getting cracked.
Oh yeah, they're straight up almost. And
Yeah,
they're big old
so-
catches of everything in the air. But
And that was 2 years into it, so I mean they didn't bat an eyelash. They came out and put it in, and everything was good.
that's
So-
cool. So what's next?
What's next? Well, in my
Whether
garage.
mods or
in my
trips?
garage right now is sitting an Extreme Train HT barricade bumper.
Oh, nice.
For it with a winch mount on it. So that's going to be going on in the next week or two, and then before April, I'll have a winch on it. I haven't decided on which one I'm going to get there yet, but my brother said he got a Jeep. He's got a winch on it. We're going to go to Drummond Island in April. We're talking about.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Been to Drummond once, and as a few years back, we had a blue TJ that had 3.5-inch lift, 33s. We took that up there with another couple, and I think they had a TJ or a YJ, I can't remember now. But anyway, we had two Jeeps, went up there, two couples, and had a blast. I didn't know what to expect because I've seen videos, but I'd never been on the island. And the experience of going on the island is to me, the cool part. The trails are fun. What I didn't know, because I didn't do that much research, I guess, I didn't know that the hardcore wheeling up there is in an off-road park.
Oh.
And I can't remember the name of it right now. I want to say like Turtle Ridge or something like that. But we didn't go in there. We just ran the trails, and it's cool. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The roads, some of the trails are really almost like cobblestone. There's so much rock in them that you air down just to soften your eye because they're really bumpy, and you're just kind of long, slow sections of that. But I mean, it's definitely worth going up there. I would. We've always talked about going back. We just haven't. I wanted to take my daughter up there. Now she's almost 18. She's got a lot going on herself. But I would still like to go back to Drummond. It was a lot of fun. I've heard people say that the roads are really worse and they didn't want to go back, but I've only been there once, and it is cool. You ride the ferry over in your vehicle, and it's short. It's like 10-minute ferry ride. You can see the other side. It ain't like you're crossing big waters, but it's fun. It was cool, and I think it's worth going back to. It's a good time.
Well, I guess one of the it doesn't cost much, hobby, but I pull up the traffic cam. You can pull up a traffic cam at the Drummond Island Ferry. It's from the view on the island, and you can see the cars lining up to go on there. So I pull that up every once in a while at work, and I put it on the
That's pretty cool.
And the Sulaks, I'll do the Sulaks when they're open. And, you know, I mean, a lot of times there's no boats going through there, but you see the ferry go every once in a while. I mean, it's not that exciting, but people are like, oh, hey, you got that on there,
That's
right?
cool, though.
I've only been on the island one other time, and that was when I was in Scouts. We went on a sailing ship on the Great Lakes. One of the councils ran the Prevailing Winds 2. It was a 47-foot catch, and you go on it for a week, and you go around. We went from Rogers City to Meldrum Bay to Drummond Island, and then we went to Mackinac and stayed the night there, and then we went to Mackinac City. That was the end of the trip, but that was cool. When I was there. We walked around Drummond Island, but didn't go on any off-road things. Didn't know anything about any of that at that time, but so it'll be a little bit different this time. Yeah,
that's cool, and it is fun. There's a spot called the Stair Steps. I think it's Staircase. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but you go down it, and then you got to come right back up. It ain't like a through trail. You go down, there's room to turn around, you come back up, or you don't have to go down. You can just drive by it. But that's the fun part, is going down it. So I had never done that kind of rock crawling at that point. Different story. But so me and my buddy, we walked it, and we're picking the line, because I didn't know what to expect out of my Jeep. He was having some issues with his, so he wasn't going to go down it. I didn't have a winch on that Jeep, but he did. So he's going to sit on top. Worst case scenario, he winched me up it, but so we're picking a line, and I'm looking at this one big step up, and I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get to here. Then everybody tell stories I've heard. They're like, watch out for this, that, So I'm thinking I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it up this. So I'm already looking. I'm probably gonna make it here. If I can't get up that, if I can get up it, I'm gonna go right up that side. If I can't, then I kind of got an alternate line in mind, and we're like scoping this all out, picking second, third lines. Worst case, he's gonna winch me up. Went down there, and the Jeep just went right up it. I was just like, okay, that was way easier than I thought. One is maybe those obstacles looked bigger in my eyes than they were, but not knowing what to expect, because not having driven up big rock steps like that, and it just walked right up it like nothing. I was like, oh, okay. So that was fun though. But they're so capable that you don't even realize how capable these things are until you do stuff like that. So watching the videos, like I watch these guys in these old 48s that, out in Utah. There's a couple of them. Stan drives Grandpa's Jeep. He's got his YouTube video. And then Jay Pett, if you look him up, he drives a early 40s MB. And Jeff, they just wheel the crap out of him. I mean, I've seen a couple videos where Jeff tipped his on his side. Guys push it back over, and he drives away pretty much, and they wheel them. They got they're pretty much stock, but they got, I think, lockers in them. Other than that, they're just stock flat fender Willys, and they're going up stuff that modern Jeeps are having issues with in some cases, and it's impressive what they do and what they're capable of. These walls, you're like, I would never even think of driving a vehicle up it. These guys are pulling up to them and like get them tires on the grip, and it's like, wow, it's like, holy crap. And I mean, I've been out to Utah, but we drove a rental one because we'd flown out to Denver and then drove down there and rented one for a few days, and we've wheeled out in Utah a little bit, Moab area, Arches, and the desert, some of the slick rock, and it's a blast. I can't wait to go back out there someday, but we didn't do hardcore. We were out there at tourists, and had my wife and my daughter and my mom, and we were careful in what we were doing and limited by the rental. But what those guys do out there, not just them, some of the really modified ones, it's amazing what Jeeps and off-road vehicles are capable of. That we just driving daily drivers, a lot of times you're like, oh, I ain't going through that, and then you see these guys just going climbing craziness, but it's so much fun. Obviously, we've been into it longer now. We got an idea and have wheeled, but early on, seeing what they can do is just like, holy crap! I would never even think of driving a vehicle up that. But it's a lot of fun. It's a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like being able to go just about wherever I wanted to go.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And getting around, like we talked about earlier with the trip up to Wolverine, like-minded people. It's fun to share the stories and share the experiences and seeing what everybody else is doing to their rigs. And
everybody was great, yeah.
Fun culture.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, any trips planned?
Other than Drummond Island,
you said
that. I probably camping sometime this summer, just a weekend here and there. And then I don't know if
we'll get together,
get out and go someplace. Yeah,
I'm bad. We're bad because we have friends that I talk to different people and they're like, oh, we got this trip planned and this, and then this weekend we're doing this, and they got all this planned out. And me and Lisa are like, well, a lot of it because we always lived around, and I don't mean this in a bad way, Brandy, but our schedule revolved around our daughter's our priority.
Sure.
And sports, me and Lisa were very much backing her in her sports, and we loved going to it. So we were at everything we could get to, and
right.
So a lot of our schedule. That's why we haven't been to the Wolverine trip too many times, because we'd get invited and I'd be like, we're 100% in, dependent upon the soccer or volleyball schedule. That always came first. That's priority.
Yep.
So a lot of our schedule revolved around that. So we didn't plan a lot of our trips because we didn't know what the schedules were going to be like, because she'd play spring, summer, fall, and
right.
So we planned around that. So we didn't have all these trips planned out. We would be like, sometimes we would look further ahead and, okay, that weekend we have open, let's go do that. But a lot of our stuff is like, okay, it's Wednesday and it looks like we're going to have this weekend open. What are we going to do?
Right.
So we're pretty spontaneous in a sense. We'll have some
Spur
plans.
of the moment,
but
I'm a lot the same way. No matter how many times I plan something, I can set something up for a month from now, and sure as can't say that, but anyway, something else will come up, and it'll be something that I can't shift. So I'm very spur of the moment when it comes to that. That's not really the way I do. An over planner. Typically,
there's a happy balance.
Yeah, like I said, when I do something on the Jeep and I find out I have to fix it, if it's something I think I'm capable of, then I research that thing to death.
Dive right in.
And so, so I know when I don't want any unexpected things. I've been there, done that. You're not planned on, if the worst can happen, plan for the worst, hope for the best. I mean, that's the way I'm usually wired, because otherwise, if I don't plan for it, it's going to happen.
I like to do what I can. I think probably my biggest problem is I always have this fear on the bigger jobs of I'm going to get it tore apart to where I can't get it back together, and now I can't even move it to get it to my buddy's shop to get him to fix it. So I try to know my limits, but sometimes it's just a confidence level of I don't want to get it to a point where I can't fix it and I can't get it to them. So I'm always hesitant, and my wife's like, let's just look it up.
That's always a nagging fear, but so far.
But then when you dive into it and you figure it out and you get it done, it's like,
oh yeah. Yep. Just take your time, and usually, at least with the Jeep, in most cases I haven't. The Trailblazer was a little different story. It was a little older, a little more rust. Didn't know how to contend with it. With the Jeep, it's been a little rusty underneath there, but and I've dealt with that. But I haven't had any issues getting anything off. I haven't broken any bolts or anything like that. Had to call my mechanics friends and say, hey, I got this thing I broke and now I can't fix it. But
that's a good part too.
That was a Trailblazer.
Not just YouTube not just YouTube and Google, but having friends that know.
Exactly. And that's what I do. The mechanic at work, I pick his brain all the time. He's very helpful. He'll walk me through. He's had a few specialty tools that he's loaned me for a couple of things, so I didn't have to buy them, because you're going to use them once and then that's it. I mean, that kind of sucks, but I mean, I have bought some of those tools, but in most cases, I can either borrow for a day and then I'm done, and he uses them all the time. So, but
me too. I've had to, thanks Brian, Jeep Armory. I've had to go borrow tools from him, or have him do the jobs for me. he just recently put back together the transmission on this. I talked about that in another video.
Yeah.
I got to a point on that where I wasn't comfortable with it. Didn't know quite how it went back together. They're not very hard, but again, maybe it was confidence level. I didn't want to screw it up. So I took it in.
It's
Brian,
the finesse, you know. You're
did it
not
like
sure
that.
the thing you overlooked that you don't know that you know putting it in you didn't notice, or you know, and they deal with it all the time and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, and you know, I give him a case of beer or something like
Yeah.
that, and he goes like, "Yeah, that's not worth that." You know, hey, so it is to me.
Right.
Case of beer.
Oh yeah.
15.
Yeah,
you know,
for what
$16
for what I
is,
gave Brian
you know,
to do that. Like I said, I dropped it off at lunchtime that evening. He texted me a picture of it complete. So, I mean, it was well worth getting it done by him versus one, the stress of me doing it, not knowing if it was right, and if I would have done something wrong, what he explained to me what he did, I was like, oh, I'm glad you did that, not me.
Right.
But so I know it's going to be good. I trust him, and I wouldn't trust myself as much. So for him to do it so that's one step closer on this. But we'll get to that. We'll get to this later.
Awesome. Maybe this would be one of my dream Jeeps. Maybe getting one of these someday, but got to
They're
work
out
on that
there,
one
and they're
first,
fun.
and you know,
Yeah.
get that on the road and enjoy that.
All
I
right.
have, but enjoy it more.
Yeah. All right. So I think we'll wrap this one up, and we head into the Cedar Springs Brewery for Bloody Mary Sunday.
All right.
But
Sounds
so
good.
first episode, that was kind of fun.
That was awesome.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hopefully, I'll get this running and do some of these interviews out in on location, out in the woods, on the trail somewhere or whatever. But
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know when, but it's not going to promise a weekly show, but we'll try to get more episodes in this series and get different people interviewing, and I think this went well, so it'll be fun to do.
Yeah.
All right, so stick around, watch out for the next one, or watch the channel for next videos on the trailer, the M416 trailer. Eventually, I'll get to the 48, but see you next time.